It's an Aardman production. Classically British, collecting celebs, and for some reason disappointing me when I first watched it as a child. But I finally rewatched it a good 17 years later, and man, I really enjoyed it much more the second time around. It was the last of the DreamWorks collaboration deal, but gave us a unique hybrid of both the stop-motion Aardman design process alongside actual CG animation. Though it does look basic. It's a bit of a whiplash, but look at Roddy's human home. Yikes! I would say it's a surprise I didn't notice at age 10, but I don't think I even realized it was CGI at all back then. So, the scene that changed flushed away, huh? My first thought was the moment Roddy shattered the ruby. It was the only one I could remember from my first actual viewing. But no, sometimes in this series, I just want to talk about the scene that's the most interesting, does some cool stuff. It doesn't all need to be the depressing second act. So today, we're highlighting a scene full of gags with the interception of Left Frog. Giving you some context, Roddy is a prim and proper pet rat who's forcibly flushed away down to the sewers one day and desperately wishes to rise back to his home. On the trip, meeting Rita here and tangling with our villain, the Toad, who's been chasing after Rita's ruby that Roddy just went ahead and smashed since he recognized it was fake anyway. And now, on their travels actually making progress home despite all the hijinks, the Toad has instructed his French cousin to retrieve the item. Now the master cable as that got stolen too. And Rita and Roddy have just made up after a brief row.
Wakey, wakey.
Thank you, Dr. Blowhard, for that one. Gotta love how they just have a full-on klaxon taped to the boat. And more than that, there's a fish girl, can of beans, a Weetabix box, and a giant tire. A real junk punk aesthetic that this world has, from piecing together all of the scraps that comes down to this underworld. Only the best for the jammy dodger. And of course, a great gag to wake up any children that got a little too invested in the sleeping scene before this. The gang are finally making progress, and their goals nearly accomplished.
We're getting close to Kensington.
The poshest of the posh and the locale of Roddy's home base, if not for a certain appearance. The reveal of the the French frogs, with an introductory motif that sounds a little like I'm walking the outskirts of Fallout 4, making their appearance in quite the cartoony fashion, somehow stuck to the actual frame of the shot. It's creative, it's quirky, we love it, and of course a joke on non-diegetic soundtracks. For keeping your eyes glued to the cinema screen, these 5 seconds alone are a masterclass of it. Followed by how this is going to affect the duo directly.
Ah, thank you.
You're welcome.
With another classic frame gag of an unknown hand assisting, much to everyone's surprise. Again, revisiting a mid-2000s movie, this feels like kind of the tropes that's been long forgotten to time. I don't remember these happening as much in animated movies anymore. But now that their cover has been pretty intentionally blown, it's time for introductions.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Bonjour.
And that's not just hellos, that's on beat too. Just another extra flair of cartoony humor that this film wants to cram into this scene. And it's certainly not going to stop there.
Hop it! Hop it!
Starting off with just some simple punny wordplay, because they're frogs, but what we're really going to dive into soon is French stereotyping jokes. Aardman is all about British idioms, whether that be the variety of accents across the British Isles, poking fun at Americans from this side of the ocean.
These Brits don't know the first thing about football.
As will become especially clear, teasing our neighbouring countries and having them tease us back. It's fine if they're anthropomorphized into animals and also harmless, light-hearted jokes. Every country does it to varyingly different groups of people. Whatever the justification.
The English little girlie. She's so aggressive.
Here he is, our real central character of the scene, the cousin of our main antagonist, the Toad. This is Left Frog, aptly named for his defining feature, an excuse to make fun of the French, as well as mirror back at us Brits too.
I like a woman with a little fire.
That one might be a little dated, but it is the start of immediately humorizing our new antagonist. The movie's been doing this with every hostile figure, as it makes the whole plot seem more enjoyable and less intimidating for the little kids like me a young 17 years ago. If you haven't seen the full movie, you might have at least heard this line.
Keep your legs straight when you hit the water.
I kept my legs straight, Spike.
Anyway, Le Frog has instantly made a fool of himself, from rejection and his stupid doofy face. Time to cram in a reference to croissants, of course.
My little chocolate croissant.
He's a cartoon character. He's more French than even French people, since we're in cartoon logic. Whilst also, we're still looking down at him, so it's not a dominating stance he has over the scene. What a goofball. Add him to the collection.
A word from our sponsor.
Oh wow, this movie is more ahead of its time than it realized. Don't worry, I haven't got a sponsor lined up this time. And if I have, well then I guess you've already seen this bit. Sorry about that. Naturally, one of our French frogs is a mime, and his name is Marcel, a reference to Marcel Marceau, probably, a French actor and mime artist. His Blip the Clown character even has this little hat attachment that's mimicked here. So what's Marcel's whole bit? Well, performative art, of course. What, you thought it was gonna be mime the whole time? That'd be awful for retention time. No, of course, the old flip phone attached to his chest is to come into action for the Toad reappearance. None of this is needed, but it's a fun comedic flair to add to an otherwise kind of expository scene. And another French gag snuck in there, the phone's ringtone is a chiptune French anthem theme.
I should have known.
Well done, Le Frog.
Funnily enough, it looks like that French henchman in the back teleported to between takes so he can eye up the two of them from within. Strange. But nonetheless, we've made it now to the central gag of this scene. Marcel's contributions to the Toad monologuing.
I salute you, sir.
Several things going on here. For a start, the Toad. 2 is not being empowered by the cinematography. He's just another talking dude, neutral to the camera. In fact, from Marcel, the Toad becomes the comedic fool as his gestures are overpresented, immediately belittling him for more entertainment factor. And that little is another French stereotype snuck in there from Le Frog. And finally, we've got the pronoun game, not clarifying what is wanted to allow for more conflict.
Hand what over?
And oddly enough, not clarifying is just more padding, to be honest, since Rita legitimately doesn't know it's the Master Cable he's after, as much as she's also just being smarmy and calling him out for being vague. Only for the real reason we've diverted the conversation to this non-answer.
Return what you have stolen from me.
Your usual villain-esque demands, with a flair of the humor. French accordion playing in the background as Marcel's actions dominate the scenes, from taking his metaphorical lines a little more literally.
This dance of deception must end.
It's silly, but it's fun, and the mime even starts whipping out a giant pencil halfway through. Hey, at least it's not a baguette like I originally thought. Welcome to the halfway mark. Subscribe for more if you want.
Enough dancing!
And so the chat continues. What is otherwise boring and already known information is now more investing to keep your eyes on, as not only does the Toad actually acknowledge his doofy demeanor thanks to Marcel, but the camera now starts to break the illusion as we see behind Marcel as he replaces his hat whilst clearly still being blinded by the back of the flip phone.
What? Oh, the ruby. Oh.
And now with Marcel doing his initial duty to make a buffoon out of the Toad, it's time for the Toad to do it himself. Sure, Marcel is still taking it a little over the top, but now it's time for a maniacal laugh that goes on just a little too long. And even Marcel and the frog have something to say about it. And so do the frogs behind them, glancing at each other.
He's cuckoo, but family.
And that wasn't the Toad doing. That's all Marcel. He's so good of an actor, I almost forgot. Anyway, in keeping things light, what was a minor antagonist now leans against Rita like a companion, always switching sides since the stakes of everything aren't all that high. And some of us always love an excuse to turn on each other.
But nothing when compared to the Master Cable.
There's your plot progression, eventually told in dialogue, yet also drawn out in an almost Shakespearean fashion through the Toad's affinity for dramatic monologuing. Now's also probably a good time to mention that the Toad is voiced by Ian McKellen, and he's killing it as usual. That's a man who loves the axe he's given, and is happy to dive fully into it. Though this film has dragged things out so much, I skipped over one more delay it took to reach this point, with Marcel pinching a French frog midway through.
Stop there.
Which is actually another French-exclusive reference to Napoleon, who would apparently pull the ears of his intimates as a sign of affection, and became a badge of honor for his imperial guard. Anyway, the Master Cable is finally the subject of discussion.
The master what?
The cable.
Okay, I guess we're not there just yet, but I think though that this is probably my favorite joke of the whole scene. It's well established that the Toad is at the mercy of Marcel behind a video screen and playing with it in this new fashion by just turning literally from his side of the screen when that's not how physics work here. So simple, yet so well done, and the sudden cutoff of delivery is great.
The one you're now wearing as a belt.
And this bit's just a functional reveal. That's where the belt is, out for all to see. Who knew it would be such an important plot piece?
What What do you want it for, anyway?
Come the World Cup final this afternoon.
Ah yes, this is a British film, and you of course can't have a British film without mentioning football. This film all centres around the World Cup from start to finish, and it's our timer for the climax of the movie. Also, the question comes with some extra characterizations, as not only does Rita overrule Roddy's idea to just hand it over, it looks like even LeFrog is curious to know the Toad's answer to why he wants it. Everyone's invested in this story and happy to break party lines to learn more about it.
Take a breath. Leave it to me.
Though not breaking lines enough to not come to the Toad's aid when he's coughing up. There's a hint of familial love in there somewhere. How wholesome.
Kill the rodents and then settle down to a decent breakfast.
And now that the dialogue is over, it's time for visual storytelling. As LeFrog and his hench frogs ready to take things from here, we get a standard eyeline match to Roddy's observation, scheming for his next move, whilst also sneaking in one more French gag that all they think about is breakfast. Is that one true? I feel like I could relate to that one a bit. I'm not French, I swear. And now the scene is readying for action.
To action!
We surrender!
No, not that one, you idiots!
Oof. This is a British film after all. Of course we're going to poke fun in that direction too. In the World Cup footage, we could also see that the football game is between England and Germany.
England! Yes! Germany!
So this film's happy to target in all directions within a near vicinity. And as they finally get on the same page, we're greeted with... We've once again got a display of buffoonery to make every villain seem funny and unthreatening right at their best moment. It's just the style of this movie's writing. And so it begins.
Fly at 12 o'clock!
Oh, bother.
It's frog logic, where apparently seeing a fly causes an impulsive need to attempt to grab it. Look, even Marcel breaks character and the Toad does so while behind a screen. Idiot. Only LeFrog has the tenacity to actually stop himself as everyone tangles to the same coordinates. A French kiss, if you will. And in one fell swoop, everyone but LeFrog is disarmed and strung away. It's time for a 2-on-1. Even odds, if not 4.
The rapids!
More environmental drama, and our first viewing of these slugs. They're kind of like an early Minion prototype, present in the world to provide background noise, reactions, and pop song references. Also, LeFrog is pulling on Rita's ear over her lines, fighting like a kid in a kid's movie. What follows next is a real action sequence. Roddy up in the forefront steering the boat as we see Rita and LeFrog slung around at the tail of the boat, as the wides reveal the boat inevitably falling down the danger pipeline. And with us distracted on the bigger picture, this comes as a swift surprise, and another Frenchly reference in the dialogue.
We're going over!
And that weak slapping gag returns, unexpected in a new way and always subverting expectations. Meanwhile, the camera juggles the bigger crisis by showing Rita's view for the camera to leap from and pull ahead for full attention on the water full ahead. Thank you, slugs. Always bringing in a little comic relief to the more tenser situations. I'm not sure if I want to say I miss this trope of marketable characters, but it certainly is a little endearing to look back on. Or maybe it's nostalgia blindness, and this can totally apply to Minions too. Now showcasing the full scale with a simple camera motion from boat to looking directly down the drop. Seems unpleasant. Even LeFrog reacts to it. Whoa, a character design gag. This fight is playing dirty with rules I didn't even think would apply, but I guess we all at some point noticed LeFrog wearing a giant zipper. And just in the nick of time, they're saved by a feature of the boat that was established earlier in the film, for your classic cliff drop scenario. But though rats can't hop, frogs are much more advantaged.
Take your flippers off me!
You stupid English with your Yorkshire puddings!
Naturally pinning the English for all of their cultural faults. I too regret Yorkshire puddings. He's got a good point there, to be honest. But don't you ever attack our beans on toast. And with a couple more French lines, the boat is dropped, though it's a long drop, so there's still time for one last move.
For your life!
Well, this is a cartoon after all. Of course there's going to be some free-falling physics that work out perfectly for our protagonists. Though you can catch Roddy noticing the parachute asset beforehand, though it's just a carrier bag from British Airways. But with an updraft in this pipework, they're prepped for the final word in. That dance, by the way, is another French reference to their can-can victory dance. And from there, the two rats are lifted up to their intended destination anyway. LeFrog just doesn't feel like using his tongue right now. But first, there's one last emotional beat to tackle this moment. The first we've seen, actually. This was entirely a comedic scene up to this point.
Goodbye, Jammy, me old man.
Rita must say goodbye to her old ship, miraculously animated for one final wave. I wonder if anyone ever cried at this death. I'd call that impressive. And for anyone that likes the proto-minions, they survived too. And with that, Rita and Roddy reach up to the realm of the surface with a skyline view of London.
We're over Kensington.
Their prior dangers escaped from officially and now ready for the next adventure of finally getting Roddy back home. And that was the scene that changed Flushed Away, or at the very least, it is a slightly new spin of the usual type of scene we cover on this series. A wholly comedic one, stuffed full with all sorts of gags in the visual, dialogue, and thematically continental. A masterclass in entertainment for writing for kids if your target was anyone but me. I don't know why I didn't like this movie the first time. Guess I never liked the idea of minions even back then. But I'm the minority around my peers who loved the idea of this movie. Just a shame box office wise the results agreed with me. And any future collaborations between Aardman and DreamWorks stopped here. But coming back to it 17 years later, it was a fun romp. Incredibly cartoony and unrealistic. England would never make it to the finals of the World Cup. It is literally never coming home. At least the movie stopped at halftime. Not even in fiction do they win. For now, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. How many times did I say the toad this video? Well, sorry, talk about beating a dead toad.